When I was there, before I moved to this city, a lady came to meet me after service. He said, please, I would like to bring my son to you. I'm a single mother. The father abandoned this son years ago, and I raised him through primary, secondary, and all that. And the boy is behaving up and down. I said, okay, tell him I'd like to see him. He said he will not come. I said, tell him that the bishop would like to see him and to pray for him so he will have a good future. And the boy came, a few days with the mother. So I said, how are you? I chatted with him. I said, oh, you look handsome, you look nice. Then we started talking. I said, yeah, I said, your mother said that you have issues. How really? I just want to see how both of you can be best friends. This mother, she used to sell her wrappers in the market to train this child. She used to sell and still sells fruit by the roadside. She put all her life into this boy. And then the boy said, my mother does not love me. The mother was alarmed. She screamed, me? I don't love you? Hey, this boy, you will kill me. This useless boy said, I don't love you. I swore I put my life into you. And the child said, didn't I tell you? So it's when all we do is to shout and correct. You didn't do this. Children don't see them being loved. So the typical Nigerian parenting system, we have to put in double dose of love. Double dose of love for each correction that you make.
Okay, let me come to you, Tom. Now, when you talk about double dose of love, and then you look at the fact that at times some people will look at children today and say they're overloved and they become so soft, parents have become so soft that we're not giving them enough discipline to make sure that they stay on track. How do you react to that?
I think that real love necessarily involves discipline, because if you really love a child, you want the child to grow up properly socialized, successful, in socially successful, psychologically strong, robust, positive, and so you will automatically discipline that child. Love that claims to be love, where you allow your children to develop without boundaries, I question how loving that really is. I think that's laziness. Disguised as love. It's easier to say yes and turn your back and just let them do whatever they want. So I question that definition for that kind of interaction with your children. I wouldn't call it love.
But there are some children that, okay, you show them this love, you're talking about double dose of it, and you still have concerns about them. As a mother, Ima, how do you think a parent can, do the balancing here?
Everything, I think, ends up with what is the relationship you have with your child. In preparing for coming on today, I came across something which was really interesting. And it says the Latin root of discipline is to teach. The Latin root of punishment is to inflict pain. When we spend time with our children and teach them, we find out they imbibe those things that we're teaching them, those principles, those values, they begin to manifest them in their own lives. So at the end of the day, we've got to spend that time, quality time. That's one of the problems we have. We're so busy as parents, out there, the rat race, we are not spending sufficient time with our kids.
Okay, so spending quality time and still going to work and making sure that you don't get sacked at work, and also making sure you still are able to provide for the children. How do you manage this and go around it?
You see, we just have to, when we say discipline, we get it completely wrong. Discipline is not shouting. In fact, the word discipline and disciple, they come from the same root. The essence of discipline is to make your children your disciples. And if that is what you know, you will pack love into it. Put correction into it. So we get that word discipline wrong. The same root, disciple and discipline. So how can my children become my disciples? And you see, love is there. I discipline.
Okay. Let's talk about balancing work and the home front, and making sure that the children get the same kind of quality time that you also spend at work?
Yeah, you see, there are different. I'm a preacher, and as a preacher, I make sure that I'm home between 6 and 7 every day. But I see how some of my colleagues, they are home 10, 12. It depends on them. But my own pattern is I get home, I make sure I take dinner with my children. Since I'm not able to take breakfast because they have to go to school. Now they are big. But I'm talking about what we have practiced over the years. So but it is something that is so dear to me and so dear to my wife. Until 1998, my wife, busy, she was, she resigned as a manager for one of the leading banks, 1998, to join me in full-time ministry. Despite her busy schedule, we still created enough time. You see, I know that some jobs can be challenging, but with the time available, don't now spend those time on parties. See how you spend that time on the children, the quality time available. So one can balance, depending on the work that you do. You can balance it. If it's the weekend you're going to be free, then you can spend that weekend with the children. And you're able to influence them.
Okay, we've got to wrap up now, but before, just as we do, as final word, where is the role of the male role model in families? Because a lot of mothers are there and they are putting their lives on the line for their children and putting everything they've got. But more often than not, what we hear missing is the fathers who are not around to discipline, except when your father comes, and the only thing they relate the father to is the cane.
Well, my final word, I was reading in a devotional book of mine a couple of days ago that don't forget the woman was taken out of man. Man and woman together make man. So the father shouldn't be absent. It should be a partnership, child raising, establishing policies. Aima and I were talking about that earlier, establishing policies, what discipline means, what goals we have for our children, and you do this together. So this system we have on ground where the man is absent except when it's time to use the word,
you will know.
it's completely warped, it's completely wrong. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's a joint effort, it's a collaboration.
So, what about you, Anna? Is daddy the one that disciplines, or mommy does it and daddy does something else?
Well, sometimes you have the good cop, bad cop. One is the gentle one, and one comes down hard. But as Tom said, it's a partnership. And I would encourage a lot of couples to go on parenting courses, to join parenting circles. Because as we said earlier, bringing up a child is about being part of a community, and that community jointly bringing up that child, passing on values. And once you keep on learning every day. There are always new strategies that you can learn. Your children are growing. So what you did a few years ago may not work now. So you learn from your, wise friends, and, a lot of godly advice as well helps, because there are times when we're exasperated. We really don't know what to do. We just sometimes have to resort to...
Bishop, I was going to ask as a final word, some people will say, oh, boys need their daddy to be able to guide them right. But again, when you look back, you discover that girls need their daddy as someone that tells them what a husband should look like, how to treat a woman, how to relate with a woman, and so on and so forth. So what will be your final word on that one?
And if I could just quickly add, this issue of doing what I say and not doing what I do. Your parents being role models.
You see, the role of a father in the home, it's a pity that we are in a fatherless generation. Fatherless generation. And that is, yes, because you see, many places you see fathers have abandoned their homes. In many instances, you see, okay, look at the US, the statistics. About a quarter of children born in Black Reserve, they are born to, single
parents, yes.
Then look at Nigeria and other places. The father can even still be in the home and then reading newspapers, doing nothing. So that's a fatherless home. Well, that is not it. What I'm talking about really is that the father's role in the home is to provide security. I don't just mean physical security, I mean sense of security. Because our children feel insecure. And when a child feels insecure, begins to go for the wrong role models. When a child is insecure, God gave this child and packaged this child on planet Earth to be who he or she is supposed to be. But many children are lost in transit by imitating other people instead of becoming who they are supposed to be. It's the father's job to say, hey, this is who you are, this is how you're supposed to be, and this is where you are going. So the father provides that sense of security. Then the mother is to nurture. That is the mother's job. Now, in the case where the father is not there, the mother is now forced how to learn how to give that child security. So these are the things which we need to put in place, and then, like he's saying, we go for studies, and then, we read, and then see how we can become better parents.
Thank you so much for coming on this morning. It's really an interesting conversation, and we've been speaking with a mother. I'm Lee Jadu. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And also the President, Institute for Marriage and Family Intimacy Studies, Bishop Charles Ihele. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And Coordinator, Sponsor Child, Tom Williams. It's been nice having you with us on the program. Thank you.
Well, I guess you'll never finish talking about parenting, because I remember listening to one pastor preach about the fact that parenting is not for cowards.
No.
You have to be brave, you have to be bold to be able to parent a child. So, on that note, I
And
guess...
the iron fist in a velvet glove. Thank you all for coming, and we'll just take a break. Stay with us on Sunrise.